Welcome to the Dan Casper Show podcast, your chance to catch the full show anytime, anywhere. If you missed it live on the radio, no worries. We've got you covered with all the sports talk, opinions, interviews, and conversations from the show. From the Packers to the Brewers to the biggest stories in sports and around Wisconsin, it's all right here. This is the Dan Casper Show podcast. All right, halftime is over with. Happy opening day, everybody. Hopefully you are able to celebrate opening day. Don't forget, with all the confusion and frustration on how to watch the Brewers, you can always listen for free to every Brewers game right here on the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. First pitch around 1:10 today. And now that we are in the regular season, coverage will begin about 35 minutes prior to first pitch. So hopefully you're able to tune in, have maybe an early lunch or have some brats, get the grills going. I know it was raining this morning, but I don't know if it's going to be like that the rest of the day. But still, come on, it's Wisconsin. We've tailgated in worse weather too. So get those grills out and such, and have a little excuse to have some brats for lunch and such. Tell the bosses that you're going to be grilling out for lunch today too. So there's a lot going on today. I mean, there's no shortage of action. You've got obviously Brewers. The Twins are in action this afternoon. You've got Badger hockey at 4:00 men's team. You got the Badger women's basketball team continuing their tournament run. You got the Sweet 16 on the men's side. You want to watch some softball at the Sonantag? You've got softball going on at the Sonantag. You got McDonald Central taking on Altoona at 4:00. The North is going to be taking on Rapids at 7 p.m. So there's a ton of stuff going on today. So no excuse. You've got plenty of sports options out there. At the bottom of the hour, we will catch up with our friend, Mr. Jake Bolks. And this is, again, your final call for any questions for our DNR warden buddy, Mr. Jake. Please text those on over to 715-830-1912. So we'll get to that coming up here in just a little bit. All right, prediction time, intern Carter. How many wins for the Brewers this year? Well, first off, let me get to John from Eau Claire. My prediction for the Brewers, 91 wins. Cheerios, the team MVP. World Series, Dodgers gross versus Seattle. So what's your prediction for the Brewers? How many wins? We'll start with that.
I'll go 89-73.
Okay. Division or wild card or nothing?
I think wild card. I think the Cubs do win the division this year.
All right. And World Series prediction for you?
I think the Dodgers make it again. I would pick them to win the World Series. The hard part is finding an AL team for me. The Blue Jays could go back. Mm-hmm. I could see the Red Sox going. I'll go with the Blue Jays again. Actually, no. I'll go with the Mariners.
Okay.
I don't think the Blue Jays go back-to-back. I'll go with the Mariners.
Okay. I'm going to go 87 and 75 for the Brewers. I think they get in as a wild card. For my World Series, I'm going as a repeat from last year, Dodgers and Blue Jays. But in Game 7, Dalton Varsho hits a walk-off home run to win it for the Blue Jays. Going with the local connection.
There you go.
Team MVP for the Brewers, you think, this year? How about team MVP and best pitcher? Like, if there was an MVP for a pitcher.
The MVP, I'll go with Bryce Terang.
Okay.
I think he's going to definitely turn it up. Best pitcher, I'm going to go with Kyle Harrison.
Yeah. I'm going to go Terang as well. I think it's between him and Cheerio this year. I think both are going to take steps. I'm really excited. I hope I'm not setting the bar so high for Terang.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm a little bit nervous about. But what he did in the World Baseball Classic, too, I mean, that confidence has just got to be building and building and building. I think for pitcher, you know what? Harris is a really good pick, but just to be different, I'm trying to think, would there be... I'm going to go... you know what? I'll go a little bit different. I'll go Zerpa coming out of the pen. kind of maybe a little bit of a Josh Hader type of role here, sort of thing. I think you could see him starting games as like like 1 inning or 2, or maybe coming in a late inning situation. I might just to be different, I'll go Zerpa, but I like the Harrison pick. Obviously, Miz is probably going to be a popular pick here too. So, do you think Brandon Woodruff pitches over 130 innings?
No.
Over 100?
That's
because nobody's going to be the Freddie and pitch 200 this year. I don't think. My opinion, I don't think.
Yeah, I would even say probably no to that. I mean, his velo is, they said, is as low as 83, and that's pretty low for a guy that threw mid-90s last year. So I could see a couple IL stints in there. That's a hard one. 100 innings is a hard one.
I'm going to say he gets over 100. I'll say that. He gets over 100. I don't think he leads the team in innings pitched. I'm actually going to go, I think, with Priester on the injury list, I might go Chad Patrick leading the team in innings pitched this year.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. Does it say how many Woodruff had last year innings pitched? Yeah, 64.2. So that was in 12 games. Does he hit 20 games this year?
Man.
Because if it's 20 games, you go 5 innings, that's 100.
Yeah, so I'll actually go over 100 innings because I do think they'll max 4 innings, 5 innings, no higher than 70 pitches on a given outing. I think he may struggle a little bit this year, but he's always been good at spotting his pitches. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'll give him over 100. I don't think he gets 20 games. He had 12 last year. I don't think he gets 20 games.
18? If I set the line at 15 and a half.
I'm going over.
Going to go over?
I will go over 15 and a half.
Yeah.
I'm kind of between the 17, 18 range.
Yeah. I'm kind of in that same boat, I think, for Woodruff, and I hope we're pleasantly surprised with him. Next prediction, who is going to be the most surprising player for you this year for the Brewers?
Most surprising player.
I didn't maybe expect that, or maybe the guy that takes, to quote Pat Murphy, the quantum leap.
Yes. Yes. That's a good question. I think Jet Williams could do what Caleb Durbin did, a little call up right after April, and he can make a strong impact. I'm not expecting anything from third base this year, so I think even David Hamilton or Ren Gifo, either of those two, I'll be pleasantly surprised if we get some production from there.
Mm-hmm. Surprise. Do we go Bowers? Maybe.
Yeah.
I might go Vaughn. I think, I don't think he's going to finish over 300 and such, but I'm going to go Andrew Vaughn, like a 275, 25 home runs type of number. And I think that'll be a nice, for first base, just to kind of have that production, I think would be nice.
We need that production.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. I agree. So, all right. How about the rest of you? Continue to send us some predictions and Brewers wise, or if you got any other baseball predictions, please continue to send those over. It is also a takeover Thursday here. So, let's stay with the Brewers. One of yours, in turn, was, when do you think we will see Andrew Fisher? Well, let me throw it back to you. When do you think we're going to see Andrew Fisher?
See, that's the hard part. I was talking about it last night, and the way he hit in the World Baseball Classic, I bring up his stats. He hit around 364. Mm-hmm. I think he had a home run, some extra base hits, and that's against major league ready pitchers. I mean, that's not against minor league pitchers. That's against the best of the best, and he performed extremely well. And then he comes back to spring training and immediately starts raking again. I mean, he hit 357 in the World Baseball Classic with a home run, 2 doubles, and 5 RBI across 4 games. If he's going to do that, I mean, you want him on the team as quickly as possible. That's the hard part for me. I don't know, but he did it. That's major league pitching. Mm-hmm. World Baseball Classic was major league pitching. Could you see him at the end of this year if third base goes downhill?
I think this year might be
Stretch.
a stretch. You still got Brock Wilken potentially there. I think Jet Williams is the backup, possibly, if there isn't anything there. But I think what he did in the World Baseball Classic moved up that timeline considerably. I think now it's like not a lot of. He was a first round pick, but I mean, baseball. It's not every team knows a whole lot about their first round picks unless it's like ready right away sort of thing, or a Paul Skeens or something like that, or Harper when he was drafted in that. But I think we as Brewers fans now are more aware of Andrew Fisher, and the longer, if let's say the production is not there for third base offensively, the longer it goes, I think more calls are going to be for where's Andrew Fisher? And, I think he could do a lot to push that narrative too if he continues to dominate in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
And really kind of make that jump like a Cheerio was doing and a Jesus Mate, type of leap. So I think this year might be a stretch, but if he dominates this year and continues to, move up in there, what about next year? But you got the Brock Wilken factor in there too. So I'm glad I'm not making these decisions, to be honest with you, because I'd be making more with my heart than my head at this point. So, yeah. We got another Takeover Thursday, switching gears though. Off topic. If Tiger Woods plays in the Masters, will he make the cuts? It's a little early for the Masters, Nick, but first of all, yeah. I think Tiger plays. How about that? Let's do this. Instead of making the cut, I'm going to change it a little bit. Does Tiger play? I think he does.
I do too.
And I'll be all about it, and I'll be excited. He won't win it, but I'll be ready.
The problem is he starts off fine. Like, he starts off on pace, and then as the days get longer, as he goes down the tournament, he starts to struggle. I think it's just going to be a repeat of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think he is going to play. I guess if I had to pick a pick, I don't think he makes the cut, but we'll see. But I do think he will play. But yeah, getting ready for Masters coming up here in a couple weeks too. Do you get amped up for the Masters? Yeah.
I don't watch it nonstop for what I think it's 3 days. I don't watch it nonstop.
4.
Okay, 4. Yeah, Sunday.
4.
Sorry.
Yep.
For the 4 days, but I'll watch the ending last year was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So,
John wants to know AL and NL MVP and Cy Young winners. So NL MVP, I'm going to go Ohtani.
Yeah, I'm going to go Ohtani.
AL, I mentioned it the other day. I'm going to go Bobby Witt Jr.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Especially if I'm going to pick the Royals to go to the playoffs, I'm going to go Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah, I kind of want to pick somebody outside the box. I don't think Aaron Judge wins it this year. I'll go Gunnar Henderson, another shortstop.
Yeah.
AL.
Yep, that's another good one. That is an intriguing field when you look at it from an offensive standpoint with the Orioles. You got Holiday, you got Gunnar Henderson, and now you put in Pete Alonso at first base. So, NL Cy Young, it's hard to not pick Paul Skeens. So, AL Cy Young, though?
Ooh.
That one might be a little bit more tricky.
I'll go with Garrett Crochet.
Oh, that's a good pick. I know Max Fried is potentially on there.
The hard part is, like, Scuba's in a contract year, so you know he's going to be dialed in.
That's true. You know what? I'm going to go a little outside the box. Apparently I'm all about the Royals. I'm going to go Cole Reagans.
There you go.
So just again, outside the box thinking. So, all right, good one there. Keep these coming. We got to take a quick break, but we'll be back with plenty more coming up after these quick words. Accidents happen, but getting back on the road should not be stressful. At Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, you will find experienced technicians, quality craftsmanship, and service that you can trust. From collision repair and dent removal to full paint work and insurance coordination, they handle the details so you do not have to. They'll restore your vehicle the right way, safely, professionally, and with attention to every detail. When your vehicle needs extra care, choose a team that puts quality first. That's Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, bringing your vehicle back to life, one repair at a time. All right, so we've got Jake coming up here in about 8 minutes or so. So we'll switch gears and chat a little bit with outdoors with him. Surveyor Sam chiming in. Good morning, DK and intern, and happy opening day. I see the Brewers taking second in the division with 89 wins, losing by 1 game to the Cubs for the division. But the Crew surprises and make the NLCS, losing to the Evil Empire out west in 6. Another year of just not enough firepower to get by the team that shall not be named. So that's our prediction from Mr. Surveyor Sam this morning. Continue to send yours on over. Just since we only have a few minutes left until we get to Jake here, are you checked out on the Bucks right now? Yeah. There's not to downplay or anything, but there's a lot going on, and the fact that they're not winning and Giannis isn't playing, it's hard to kind of get into it a little bit.
There's so much drama around them.
Yes,
and it's not like good drama.
Mm-hmm.
It's all bad. So it's like I'm done. Like, enough is enough with the Giannis rumors.
There you go.
Please stop.
There's our ASAP use auto parts. Enough is enough.
It's about time that we get a week stretch without Giannis rumors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not even healthy, and the Players Association is coming out and telling us that he needs to play.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not even healthy. I mean, at this point, nothing makes sense in the NBA. It's
Right.
just not well run, because the Jazz can sit their whole starting 5 winning in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes to go, but if the Bucks sit Giannis when he's not healthy, they're going to get called out.
Mm-hmm.
That makes no sense.
Yep.
And if I was a conspiracy theorist and thought the NBA draft lottery was set, I would say the Bucks are going to get a bad pick, because they're a small market and because the league doesn't like what they're doing with Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, if that happens, I predicted it.
Nice. I like it, man. I like it. I think you've summed it up perfectly. There's just so much drama going on right now. Way, way, way too much drama right now. And it's just, I don't know if we're gonna see Giannis in a Bucks jersey again.
Yeah,
I'd like to see it just one more time, but I don't know. It's going to be,
It's hard, too, because
it's hard to kind of figure out at this point.
There's so many other good sporting events on as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, because they're not competing, it makes it easier to not watch.
Right.
So.
Yep. I would agree. So, but last night, the Bucks did fall to the Trailblazers. In case you're wondering what's the rest of their schedule look like here as they start to wrap up the NBA season. They've got San Antonio coming up on Saturday, Clippers on Sunday, the Mavericks against Dallas. Those 3 are all in Milwaukee. Then they hit the road to Houston. They got Boston, Memphis, Brooklyn, Detroit, Brooklyn, Philadelphia. So, I mean, if Giannis was going to play one more game for the Bucks, and if it's going to be in Milwaukee, it would have to be the next 3. The 3rd against Boston, the 5th against Memphis, or the 10th against Brooklyn. There's only 6 more home games left in this thing, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 more games left in the regular season, 4 on the road. So I know they're not mathematically eliminated, but they're eliminated.
Yeah.
I think we could call it they're done. So
I could see him coming back for like the last game.
At home or on the road?
Yeah, at home. Sorry.
Yeah,
the
10th.
Nets, yeah.
If he comes back for like that one, I think he might not be back next year. So, but I do appreciate what Wes Edens apparently said. I don't know if you read the piece last Friday where he's, it's like it's an extension or he'll be traded. And I agree. It's got to be one of those two. We can't go into next year wondering if he's on a team and wondering what's happening.
The hard part is he can't sign until I think it's October. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the offseason is going to be done.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So they kind of have to get his word.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And they have to trust him.
Yep. All right. Let's take a quick break, and we'll switch gears here a little bit, and we'll talk with Jake Bolks, Conservation Warden for the great state of Wisconsin. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Hunting season will be here before you know it, and that preparation starts right now. At Tilden Gun, they know serious hunters don't wait until opening day to get ready. Whether you're gearing up for the upcoming spring turkey season or planning ahead for fall, now is the time to make sure that your equipment is dialed in. From shotguns and rifles to optics, ammunition, and must-have accessories, Tilden Gun has the selection and expertise to help you step into the woods with confidence. Maybe it's time to upgrade your setup. Maybe it's time to sight in that new optic. Or maybe it's just stocking up so that you are not scrambling later. Turkey season demands precision, patience, preparation. So stop on into Tilden Gun and talk with the people who understand the hunt, because they live it too. Tilden Gun, get ready now so that you're ready when it matters the most. Let's bring him on board, Mr. Jake Bolks, Wisconsin Conservation Warden for the great state of Wisconsin. Happy opening day, Jake. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you guys, or how are you?
Not bad. Nice weather. Baseball season is starting. Turkey season's coming up here soon. I love this time of year, dude.
I know, it's pretty crazy. The yesterday sure definitely made me excited for spring, and I know we had the warm days a few weeks ago or a week ago too before that snow, but man, just to be able to be outside and have shorts on and just it's good. See the turkey. I saw a bunch of turkeys fanned out yesterday, so definitely coming up. You know, everyone I'm sure bought their bonus tags last week. Hopefully they did, because they're pretty much gone now. So yeah, it's fun. It is a good day. You're not wrong.
Yeah, I saw. I was driving around too, and there was a bunch of turkeys in a field too. So that kind of got me going a little bit as well. And and also when I was driving around, Jake, I saw field. Obviously, it looked like it was burned, prescribed burn and such. And I'm like, I want to ask Jake a little bit about that, because I think this time of year we start to see that more and such. Is that something like if anybody wants a prescribed burn or something like that? What is there a process they got to go through? Do they got to work through the DNR or what's that like?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So generally, you can, a prescribed burn isn't like a government thing where like it has to be a part of this or that. Like private landowners can have prescribed burns. In full disclosure, it's not my expertise, so I don't know everything around it, which is why the best thing to do is always there's kind of like when we were talking about the whole jurisdictional thing a few weeks ago about hunting in the city and whatnot. A fire is gonna cross some jurisdictional lines, so there's a few things you're gonna want to check in with. One, you should start with the DNR. Call your local ranger station. One of your local foresters. Like around here, the guys down at Augusta are legendary. They're great guys. They know this is what they do. So start with them. Find out if there's any permits. It's going to matter whether you're in the intensive zone, the extensive zone when it comes to burning in general in Wisconsin. And those guys know it. The east side of Eau Claire and up into Chippewa is kind of where there's a line on different times of year to burn. And now that most of the snow cover is gone, that's when permits are going to be needed for different types of burning. So start with the DNR. It's a great resource, obviously. But then the next one you're going to want to do is check either your ordinances or give your local township a call and find out if they have any burning permits that you need for stuff more than a warming fire, a cooking fire. Generally, that's always fine wherever you're at. But once you start talking about prescribed burns or burning giant brush piles and stuff like that, there are a lot of townships that require permits. Sometimes they're free, sometimes they're $5, stuff like that. So check with the DNR, check with your local township, and then you can always call, the non-emergency local fire department, like Township Fire or something like that, and just ask them, because they're familiar with these. They get notifications with these. If they're not the main source to get you what you need, they'll be able to guide you in the right direction to do it. So it is something you really want to make sure you do some investing in, some time in before you just light your field on fire.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was just kind of. Would you say is this the most popular time of year to see that? And I know some people kind of do it maybe to improve their deer habitat and such as well. Is this the time of year a lot of people do that? Do you know?
Yeah, yep. There's certain times where they basically have to get it in because once it's too green, it's hard to do it. If it's too dry, then they can't do it legally and just from a safe, common sense version or safety-wise and stuff like that. So it is a time, obviously, like for deer hunting, but prescribed burns, they get used for a lot of things. Obviously, mostly habitat reasons and wildlife reasons, but not just deer. There's lots of bird species. There's lots of just vegetation that needs to be that thrives on being burned. Before humans were around, kind of manipulating the forest and the ecosystem. A lot of these species either were built to outlast these fires or they need it. They need the fires to help reproduce, or they need it to keep other species from encroaching on them and different stuff like that. So I know some people do it to help enhance the native species. They're trying to keep the native species on their properties, stuff like that. So a lot of good reasons, but it's a good question. Just a quick story on it is that a couple weeks ago I was patrolling home and I wasn't in the area, but I heard Eau Claire Sheriff's Office responding like emergency to a fire. And they were going until finally they got there and they found out Township Fire had called in and said that it was a prescribed burn that was happening in the evening. And the big takeaway from that is that if people aren't notified correctly or if it's not permitted correctly or stuff like that and they're not aware, like the law enforcement's not aware, then it can cause, a stress on the resources. It can put, it's dangerous to drive emergency to different situations. So if an officer doesn't have to do that, that's really good. So it's another reason you really want to do your due diligence and contact the local jurisdictions before you start burning.
All right, good stuff there. We got a couple of questions to pass along to you here, Jake. Let's start off with the first one. Could you ask Jake about boating or pontooning, and if people want to partake in alcoholic beverages, what's legal and what is not? A lot of misconceptions out there.
Yeah, definitely coming up to that time of year. So it's pretty, I don't want to say black and white, but it's pretty black and white. So when it comes to boating, you can have an open intoxicant. In a car, you can't have an open beer. On a boat, on a snowmobile, on an ATV, you can have an open intoxicant. That is not illegal in the state of Wisconsin. Other states may be different, so don't just go to Minnesota or Iowa or Canada and start ripping around with a case of beer in your hand. Wisconsin, you can have an open intox, but you cannot be impaired and you cannot be intoxicated. So it's the same as driving on a road. You can't be above a .08. If you're above a .08, that's illegal. As well as you can technically be impaired and be under a .08. So if you get pulled over because of whatever reason and an officer or a warden notices, signs of impairment and they run you through fields and you're failing everything, and even if you come in under a .08, if you're impaired, you can't operate your machine, there's other things going on, you can be arrested for that. And the same goes for, drug driving, or however they want to call it these days. I see a lot of billboards these days for drugged driving. An OWI is operating while impaired. It doesn't specify. It doesn't matter if it's drugs, whether that's prescription or like narcotics or illegal drugs. It doesn't matter if it's beer or wine or whiskey. If you're impaired or if you're above .08, it's illegal and you can get arrested for that. So definitely something you don't want to play around with if you're going to go do it. Mm-hmm. But for boating, you can have an open intox. Don't be above a .08 or don't be impaired. What we see as wardens when we end up arresting people for boat OWI is that and this isn't an exaggeration, 9 out of 10 times there is a sober person on the boat. Whether it's because someone doesn't drink, whether because it's someone that just had a beer or two and just doesn't like to get drunk, whatever the case may be. There's usually someone sober on the boat. It's just usually they're not the ones that are accustomed to driving, or it's not their boat, so they don't want to step up and say, hey, I'll drive or whatnot. But they need to. If they're allowed to, if they're legal to, or whatever the case may be, they should be, because it's crazy how many times we can just turn the boat over to someone else on the boat and not have to drive it back and dock it or whatever, because there is a sober person on the boat.
Right. Another question for you. This comes from John. It says, recently we rented an Airbnb on a private lake, and they had a sign posted in their yard saying you do not need a fishing license to fish on their lake. Is that true, that I don't need a fishing license to fish on a private lake?
Potentially. Without knowing the lake or the water body, I can't speak 100% on it. But the way the law reads is that anyone in the state of Wisconsin, if they're fishing, has to have a fishing license. The only, the exemptions are if you're under 16, or if you're fishing on a completely private lake that has no navigable or public access. So a private lake like that, where you wouldn't need a driver's license, a fishing license, would be like you legally dug a pond in your backyard on your property, and then you bought some fish and stocked it. You own all the land around it. There's no rivers or streams that go in or out of it. Nothing like that. Then that would be an opportunity where if someone came from out of state, or someone didn't have a license yet this year, where they could fish legally, because it's like a private pond with private fish, stuff like that. Now, there's a lot of lakes, or there's a lot of ponds out there where people, claim they're private because maybe two landowners own the water around it, or the water or the river or the stream that goes to it is dry a lot of times a year. If there's any time of year where that stream has water in it and someone can keep their feet wet and walk to the pond and fish, then it's public accessible, and everyone would need a fishing license year round on that pond. Same with if you and your neighbor own it, you don't let anyone from the public on that property. But if your neighbor is going to let other people fish it and stuff like that, that is public access. Everyone would need a fishing license. Just because there's no public access to it doesn't mean it's not private, or that you don't need a fishing license. You still need one. So it can be kind of complicated, but at the end of the day, kind of not. What I've always said is, and I know $20 can be a lot of money to some people, but $20 is all that it takes to fish in this state for a year. And even if you're a non-resident, it's like 50 or 60. And there are one-day licenses and stuff like that. So yes, there's an opportunity for you to fish on a private lake, but I always say it's better to be safe than sorry and just buy a fishing license.
So just for example, say I had this huge yard and I decided to put a pond in there and stock it with fish and such. Since it's in my backyard, it's private, nobody else could go. Would I need a fishing license for that, or could I get away with not having a fishing license? Okay.
Yeah. You dig it legally, and you buy fish offline, online legally, and stock them in there, and you're the one that feeds them, and maybe has an aerator and all that kind of stuff. Then you wouldn't need a fishing license for that.
Okay, interesting.
But like I said, it's always better just to pay that $20 or $8 for a one day, and then it's a good question, because landowners do stuff like that all the time. Not saying that's a bad thing, but they put signs up saying, "Oh, you don't need to have. You can drive down this road with your ATV to go get gas," or "You don't need a fishing license," or this or that. And a lot of people will believe it, and that's fine. But we do check a lot of people on Lake Wissota and stuff like that rent an Airbnb, and then they, when you check them, they don't have a fishing license. But their excuse is "Well, I'm just renting here. I can fish from the dock for free. I don't need a license." I'm like, no, you have to have a license. So,
right.
Obviously we use discretion, but
Right. This was just kind of a random question from me, and don't mean to kind of throw you one for a loop here, but I see, postings about it on Facebook all the time about, it's this time of year for smelt fries or coming up and such, they're Jake. So Is there anything special that anybody would have to do to go out there and maybe, go smelt fish? I don't know if it's a thing around here, or you got to go up north or such. Is there any special license for that?
Yeah, it's going to be the Great Lakes. You'll need a fishing license and stuff, but smelt's a rough fish, so you can actually sell it. So sometimes this time of year you see people selling smelt. That's a common complaint we get. You can actually sell it. There's laws that allow you to sell it. If you go up there and harvest it legally, you can sell it, but that's a lot of work. It's not super common. But it's just like anything else. Just go get a fishing license and go and you can net them and stuff like that. If we have a regulations pamphlet, which everything's online, so you can find it online. But there's like a separate kind of fishing one. Just there's like the main fishing regulations, then there's the trout fishing regs, obviously, and then there's another one called like baiting, spearing, and netting. And that hits all like the turtle and frog seasons, that hits all the rough fish seasons and the bullfish seasons. And in there you'll find anything you want to know about smelting, time of year, what you can use, what you need for licenses, stuff like that. So there is a good resource for that online if someone's interested in it. But yeah, you're not going to go down to Lake Altoona, the Chippewa, or something like that and find any smelt.
Right, exactly. All right. Hey, before I let you go, Jake, I know we're going to be talking probably some more turkey hunting next week when we get to the youth weekend and such, but anything else that you want to hit up before we let you go?
No, just if you forgot about the bonus turkey stuff, I would really encourage you to go look at it today, because last time I checked, most of the zones were completely sold out. Some of them had a couple seasons left or a season left. So if you didn't get your tag yet, I would definitely work on getting that. But other than that, no. It's April 1st is the reset. I know I hit this last time, but it's timely. April 1st is the reset of all the licenses. So your fishing license expires March 31st. You have to have a new one after April 1st, and I think that's like, next Wednesday or something, next Tuesday, somewhere around there. So you have to have a new 2026 fishing license, and then obviously the rest of your licenses are that week. Same with boats. Boats expire March 31st. So if you're going to get out on your boat here in the next couple weeks and you have that orange 2026 sticker on it, you got to get that thing updated in the next week. So just make sure you get your licensing and registrations up to date. This is the time of year to check it all.
All right, good stuff from Jake Bolks, Wisconsin Conservation Warden. We appreciate it as always, buddy. Enjoy the week, and we'll catch up again next week.
Enjoy opening day, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. There you go. There's Jake Bolks joining us, as usual, every Thursday for our Tailgate Outdoors. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back to wrap up the third hour after these quick words. When it comes to quality meat, you don't guess, you go right to the experts. And at Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire, you're not just buying meat, but you're buying experience. Hand-cut steaks, fresh ground beef, house-made brats and sausages, thick-cut chops done exactly the way you like them. This is your neighborhood butcher shop where quality comes first and service still matters. Planning a cookout or stocking up for the week or looking for that perfect steak for dinner tonight? Well, then, hey, stop on into Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire and taste the difference that a real butcher makes, and especially with it being baseball season, getting the grills fired up with some brats and such, the wide selection of different flavors of brats over at Mike's Star Market. They'll hook you up. We've got a few minutes left to the top here. We do have a little hockey tonight with the Badgers, or early evening, however you want to describe it. NCAA first-round action taking on Dartmouth. So the Badger men's team trying to have a deep run here and maybe match what the women's team did. That would be nice to have a sweep with that. You being the hockey guy that you are, you kind of going to be paying attention to this a little bit there, intern Carter?
I'll pay attention.
Yeah.
I think I'll probably watch March Madness instead.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely pay attention to it. We watched a little bit of the women's national championships. That was fun.
Right. Speaking of the Sweet 16, your games on the schedule for tonight. So with Wisconsin out, can you cheer for the Big Ten, for a little Big Ten representation, or is that not really
only
factor?
Nebraska, pretty much for me.
Okay.
Just because they haven't ever been there.
Mm-hmm.
So
we've got Texas versus Purdue at 6:10, Iowa, Nebraska 6:30. Arkansas, Arizona, 8:45, Illinois, Houston, 9:05, and those will probably, be adjusted a little bit depending on the outcome of the games before them too. So, But you've got, it's not a football one, but it's Iowa, Nebraska with their rivalry there too. So, but Texas, of course, Texas, there's always seems, it probably isn't always, but just, man, it seems like there's always a team that in that play-in, and they'll go on a little bit of a run here, and lo and behold, it's Texas with Sean Miller back into the Final Four, Sweet 16. So, and then tomorrow you've got St. John's versus Duke, Alabama versus Michigan, Michigan State versus UConn, and then Tennessee versus Iowa State. So, which game of those on the docket are you most excited to watch?
St. John's Duke.
Yeah,
I think Illinois-Houston will be good tonight, though.
That's a good one. Michigan State, UConn, I think would be a good one. There is some good matchups in this. Yeah. When you kind of look at it, I mean, I know a lot of it may be a little chalkish, but there is some good matchups when you break it down. So, heck, even Iowa, Nebraska could be just from the rivalry of the school standpoints with that too. So, yeah, I think there's going to be some good ones here. So, but it always I feel like Sweet 16 kind of catches people by surprise too when it starts. You got it was just a week ago today. We're pumped up for the opening rounds of games, and then it's like, hey, by the way, Sweet 16 now is going on here. So I know there's a lot going on with opening day and all that, but still got some big time college basketball games coming your way tonight too. So if you want to kind of maybe rebound, or maybe you're doing well in the bracket and you still want to continue that trend, you can go to our website, click on the Fan Cave tab, and scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you can participate. We got a Sweet 16 bracket challenge. So if you want to maybe kind of redeem yourselves a little bit, or really double down on your Sweet 16 pick because you're doing really well, you can do that. Again, you'll see the tabs over there when you sign in for where you did the bracket challenge and such. So that will not count for multiple brackets. So if you did a bracket of integrity, we'll allow this one too, just because it's different. So just do one Sweet 16 bracket. All right, shot clock's going to cut us off here in less than a minute. So next hour, all right, continue to send us with your Takeover Thursday questions, topic ideas. Also, Brewers predictions. How many wins? All right, how many wins do you have for the Brew Crew? Do you have them going to the postseason? We want to get your predictions. All right, give it to us. Let us know. All right, and what are you doing for opening day? Maybe you're going down. If you're going down, hopefully you're already on the road over there, because I think the lots are opening at, was it 10 o'clock I saw, or 11 o'clock, somewhere around there. But definitely getting a little tailgating vibe. Hopefully the weather cooperates for